Okay, guys, I want to show you the hulls that I've picked up. These, see how that's partly green and black? The next one here, this one's a perfect one. It's half green and half black. These are the best ones to harvest and the best time to harvest them because they are much more easier to peel the hull off of them whenever you use these over darker ones or greener ones. This here is using my screen. I use my screen just about anything I dry. I use these screens. I've got 3 or 4 of them laying around different places, and they're easy to use. Throw them off on a table, throw all your stuff on it, and spread them out to where they can breathe good. You can put them up off of something to where the air can get up underneath it, to where everything will just dry faster. And it's all spread out so it'll dry faster and it'll dry good and keep it contained good for you. So with black walnut, be sure you wear gloves when you do it because it will stain your hands big time. And I ended up getting it on my hands anyway during this because my tips of my gloves got holes in them. But it is a dye. It is a very good dye for that matter. It's got tannins in it, which makes it really, really good for dyes. So anything you wanted to dye, you could use this. And it will be a brown, a tan, creamish, depending on what kind of material you put it on and such. Black walnut, I use it for warming my goats. I'm drying it this year. I've made it in tinctured form. I've dried it. And I'm going to dry it this year so I can just spread it on their feed. I think with my 2 younger goats, they're not as apt for me to do it like I did the other goats, so I'm going to try doing the powder for them. And I will add my wormwood as I have it, but this year it don't look like I'm really going to have much wormwood, if any. Probably won't even harvest none of my wormwood this year. Black walnut is antifungal, so there you see in its own purpose how it is good for worming. And it's supposedly there were some really good studies over it destroying candidas. So any type of antifungal, athlete's foot, viruses, warts, things to that nature, even malaria it's been known to help with, and scurvy. And the reason it's good for scurvy is it's really high in vitamin C. And the B vitamins and psyllium, which both of those psyllium and B vitamins are super, super good for goats. So that's a double whammy in itself. I think I said beta carotene, the calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, all those things. But in saying that, I want to say something here because a lot of people think whenever they have these vitamins in it and these minerals in it, that it would be good for using in a tea for your garden. This herb will not be good for that because there's a compound in it. I can't tell you the name of it off the top of my head because it's one of them long scientific words. It starts with an S. I know that much. That causes it to not like to compete with other plants when it comes to them growing. So you do not want to use this in a tea for watering plants because it will cause them not to grow good instead of grow good. So I want to really stress that out before I forget about it. It's supposedly, and I've not experimented with this, it's supposed to be good for helping lowering blood pressure and cholesterol and stuff as well. Which I guess if it's a detox, I could see it doing the cholesterol thing and even blood sugars. I wanted to show you, I'm also doing these green ones. You can do those green ones too. You just take them a little longer to dry. That right there is an ideal one, half black and half green to harvest. Ideally, but it don't have to be that way. It can be totally black and it can be totally green, but you want it to already have fallen off the tree green because this part will start softening for you to get it off. It's just thicker. You can tell that's thicker where it's not even started to rot. See, this is a lot thinner where it's already rotted. But that stuff there is the good stuff when it comes to deworming So, we'll spread this out here a little more. Let this dry right here for now, and I'll put it in my shed here in a little bit. And we'll go down and look at what wormwood I have this year. Yuck. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an example of how you can rinse these off after you take the hulls off. There's just a few I threw in there just to rinse them off a little bit. You can let them set for a second or two if you want to, and just get in there and swish them around with your hands or with it just like that right there as well. Just whichever way. I like to get in there and swish it with my hand to knock off some of that heavy debris. And then I'll simply dump that right there where it's at and finish letting it dry and let them dry out some right there until I can touch them, and then I'll probably pick them up and set them up on something so that they can finish drying out. Okay guys, here's my wormwood. I need 2 plants established, but I've only got 1 that's getting established right now. It's not enough to use like I want to use, so I'm just going to let this one continue to grow. Wormwood is a bitter, like I said before. It's good about expelling worms, especially pinworms and roundworms. That's the main target for them. It's also good for your digestive system, especially if your gastric juices ain't where they need to be. This is good about helping to help your digestive system and that ability to work. You can overdose on wormwood, but it's not very likely that you ever would. You'd have to really eat a lot of it to do that. They generally recommend 1 to 2 grams of the dried powder, or if you make a tinctured form out of it, 1 to 2 milliliters at a time. But that's not me saying that's what you should do. You need to definitely consult somebody more professional than me to do that for you. But wormwood is great at expelling worms, and I love it for my goats, and I love adding it to my black walnut to help expel those. And once you get this established, you'll always have it. Hey guys, I wanted to do a video of me actually cracking some of these, and I'm sorry I didn't. I actually cracked a few just to use for recipe, and I kind of gave up and went on to other things because they weren't cured out as good as I'd like to have them anyway. I like to let them cure out for a couple, 3, 4, or 5 weeks. Sometimes it just depends. And before I use them anyway. But what I would do if I was doing it by hand, you always want the pointy end down. I used to think you had the pointy end up, but no, it's better if you have the pointy end down. And I use a hammer, and I just kind of tilt it over to where I can hit it with the hammer. And I suggest holding it with a pair of vice grips or something other. I wouldn't hold it, or channel locks, I mean. I wouldn't hold it with my hand and try to hit it with the hammer. And then like I said, I hit the top of it, not the pointy end, the other end. My father-in-law has a cracker that he built that if you Google it, you'll see things that people's made that's similar to it. And I'd usually like to use it, but I don't have it right now anyway. But I hope you enjoyed this, and hope you got something out of it, and just seeing some of the things that the good Lord's created for us out of these walnuts. There's so many different uses for them than just falling out of a tree and feeding a squirrel. And I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing week this week. And I hope your weather is suitable for you. And talk to you next time. God bless.